Hey everybody, today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about transmissions in automobiles. So today let's go ahead and get started. The first transmission I'm going to talk to you about is a manual transmission. Now, that transmission has been around since day one, and that's your typical clutch, pedal, and gear shift. Now, the early transmissions for manual, you had a 3-speed manual, which is a 3-speed on the column. And the way you do it is you go over to the left and down, that's first gear, up towards neutral, to the right and up, that's second gear, and third gear is straight down. Now, to go backward, you pull it towards you and then go straight up. Now, obviously though, you can't win any races with a 3-speed on the column. That's very, very impossible. Now, later on, they came out with a 4-speed manual. And the 4-speed manual is on the floor. You got first gear to the left and up, and you got second gear straight down, third gear, which is all the way to the right and up, and then fourth gear straight down. And then you got reverse gear, which is over all the way to the left and then up, or all the way to the right and then down. Now, the 4-speed manuals, they came in newer automobiles later on in the late 60s and the early 70s. You even had a 4-speed on the column too. Now, the automatic transmissions, they started coming out in the 1950s. And in today's automatic transmissions, you would have you have part reverse, neutral, and drive, third gear, second gear, and low gear, which is first gear, on the 5-speed automatic transmissions like the Toyota 4Runner, for example. And low gear is usually made for going down a steep grade if you don't want to be riding the brakes. Now, there's various kinds of automatic transmissions. You have one that's called a semi-automatic, which is sort of a hybrid transmission, mating the benefits of the automatic with the manual. And it's like a manual, only there's no clutch pedal. Now, a semi-automatic, you would find that in the M series from BMW, or in vehicles made by Audi. Now, there's also a CVT, which is a continuously variable transmission, and that has a couple of pulleys that change diameter, and it runs a chain or a drive belt inside the transmission. Now, with Honda, when they first came out with their CVT, it was belt driven, and they had so many problems with them. So what they did was they switched the transmission, the belt out, and replaced it with a chain. and that's a much better improvement. And also Nissan added a chain to their CVT transmission too. And now you would also find a CVT and some hybrid transmissions like the Toyota Prius, for example. And in my mom's car, which is a 2023 CRV Hybrid Sport, it has a eCVT, and the E stands for electronic, continuously variable transmission. And it's a good car. I love it. I'm hoping, though, that one day I can get enough money in my account to make it like the top-of-the-line Sport Touring model, which is adding the bigger nav screen with everything on it. And I love the car, I really do. And my all-time favorite feature on it is the brake hold function. And what that does, when you come to a complete stop, the parking brake will automatically engage. Or no, it won't automatically engage. It'll hold the vehicle in place for about 3 minutes whenever you're stuck in traffic. And especially it'll hold it in place whenever you're stopped at a red light until the light turns green, and then you can push on the accelerator and take off. And Mom and I purchased that car in Warner Robins, Georgia. And we had a 2012 Ford Fusion SE, but it was time for a trade-in because the transmission was going out, and there was damage under the car from the previous owner. And the Sport Hybrid that we bought, it's the color is Canyon River Blue Metallic, and the interior is black cloth. And it's a very nice combination. And now also, let me just tell you this. Let me go back to mentioning the stick shift. Now, with early 5-speed manual transmissions from BMW, the gear pattern is different from an American car. You had reverse all the way to the left and then up. And then you had first, second, third, fourth, and then fifth. Now, fifth gear is an overdrive gear for if you're traveling down the interstate. And first and second gear is mainly used for if you're trying to find a parking space. And third and fourth is usually used for residential areas. Now, another thing too that's also cool about these newer cars is with a 6-speed automatic or a 7-speed or even an 8-speed, you have what they call paddle shifters on the steering wheel to shift the vehicle manually without having to use the clutch. And that's pretty doggone cool. My grandparents purchased a brand new 2007 Mazda MX-5 Miata, and we had that car for 5 years, from 2007 to 2012. We bought that over at Hennessy Mazda in somewhere in Atlanta. And we had to wait until the next day to pick up the car, because the car was being purchased. When the car was purchased, they had to drive it from all the way to the people that were bringing it to Hennessy Mazda had to drive it from North Carolina to that dealership. And I loved that car. The color was copper red, and it had tan leather interior with a 6-speed automatic transmission. And the engine was a 2.0 liter dual overhead cam 16 valve 4-cylinder, which put out 158 horsepower. Now, with the manual transmission from that year of the car, it put out 166. And before we bought it, my grandfather test drove one with a manual shift, 6-speed manual, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do all this. I don't blame him. But after we purchased the car, we put the top down, and it was a lot of fun. And in the dashboard, there were 2 cup holders, and what you do is you would push them in, and then they would slide out like this. Push in and let go, and then they would just slide out like this. And that that was awesome. Now, going back to the transmission options, with the CVT, you would find them in vehicles like the Honda Insight, and you would find them in the Toyota Prius. And CVTs, they don't have gears, and it uses what they call an infinite combination of gear ratios. When you do hard acceleration, it like tries to mimic the shifts. And also with the Prius, back then when they first came out in the 90s, you didn't see very much of them on the highway. You only saw them driving around town until maybe 2014 or 13 or 12, even 11 or 10. So, if you're able to, please rate, comment, or subscribe, and I'll be doing more videos to come. Thank you.